So on my time on BookTube, I have seen quite a lot of BookTubers do this video where they say how they rate books, where they give descriptions on what makes a book a certain star rating. And I found it so incredibly useful to actually watch other people do that. So I decided, for those who watch my channel, those who look at my Bookstagram, it was very important for me to get across how I rate books as well, because I do a lot of things similar to people, but I've also noticed that other people put certain elements in that I've never done before. So it seemed important to do that. So to start off with, I'm going to go low to high, my 0 stars, and that just basically means I refuse to rate a book. Now, I always rate books, always. The only times I will ever do 0 star and basically not rate a book is if I DNF it, because I feel as though you can't rate a book that you haven't read till the end, because between whatever point I stopped and the ending of the book, something could dramatically change, and something could, if I carried on, it could have changed my rating, and I just decided not to try. So I won't ever rate a book that I DNF, because I don't think that's fair. On to 1 star. 1 star is very rare. I will very, very rarely give a 1 star rating. And the main reason is because a 1 star rating is a book that I was extremely close to DNFing, that I really despise, that I think was probably horrendous and probably one of the worst books I've read, but I got to the end. A 1 star is basically my DNF book, but I finished. So I very rarely do 1 stars, because like I said, if I hate something so much, there's a good chance I'm just going to DNF it. So a 1 star is very similar to a DNF, but I managed to make it through to the end. And I just really didn't like it. I didn't think there was anything redeemable about it. It just wasn't for me, not good at all. But I finished. And it's very rare that that happens, because like I say, I either give things 2 stars because it had some redeemable qualities, it was an okay book, or I just don't bother, I give up, because if I'm hating the book so much, life's too short to read books you hate. So that's where I go with my 1 star rating. So it's something you will very rarely see, and if you see it, then, well, to be fair, I don't think I've ever given a book a 1 star rating. We'll have to see how I feel about that when it comes up to it. Now, my 2 star, and I always struggle with 2 star ratings, because I always think, oh, 2 stars very low. But I feel with a 2 star rating that the book wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy the book. There were elements of it I just thought, I can't get my head around it. It's not for me at all. But the book itself probably wasn't that bad. I often find 2 star books tend to be books that are centered around a theme that I don't necessarily care about. And if someone cares about that certain theme, maybe they would rate it extremely high. Like, for example, when it came to my review of Airport Code Red by James Patterson that I read in January, I gave that a 2 star rating, because overall I thought the book, it was okay. It wasn't so fundamentally bad that I hated it. It was an alright book, but it was based around ex-SAS members and armed service members, and that's just not a topic that interests me. It was about terrorist cells and organisations. It doesn't really interest me. So I found myself plugging away through, because I thought, I don't dislike the book, but I'm just not entertained. And that's how I rated it. I rated it a 2 stars because it wasn't something that I didn't like, but it wasn't something that I liked. I didn't like it because it was on a theme that I didn't like. But I feel as though it's not fair, because I feel like if I chose a book based on a theme that I didn't like, it was always at a bit of a disadvantage. But that's my 2 star. There's no extreme negative bias or feelings towards the book. It just wasn't for me. So 3 star rating, very generic this one really. It was just very middle of the pack. There was nothing amazing, there was nothing horrendous. It was just okay all the way through. Really, that's all I can say. Maybe it was maybe I give things a 3-star if I, for example, loved certain things, absolutely loved them, and hated other things, maybe. But generically, 3-star, it was just very middle of the pack, didn't change my life in any way. Yeah, it was alright. Glad I read it, but it was okay. Now, 4-star, and this tends to be a book that I absolutely like. I love, I think it's fantastic. And a 4-star is my most common rating, I think. 3 and 4-star are my most common ratings, but I think 4-star maybe has the edge. And 4-star books are books that I like, because the way I tend to do things is I do 2-star, didn't like it. 3-star was okay. 4-star, I liked it. 1 and 5 are very rare. So if I give a 1 or a 5-star rating, then the book is either really good or really bad, depending on what rating I gave it. So 4-star for me means I really like the book. I think it's a great book. I really enjoyed it. The only thing that stopped it being a 5-star is the fact that it just maybe missed something, or it didn't make me feel something as strongly as it could have. Or maybe it just had quite a lot of issues with it, but overall it was a great read, but I just found the issues that I kind of niggled at me a bit, things like that. There was issues with the book, but overall I loved it. That's basically it. Great book, just a couple of issues. And a 5-star rating, which I like to say is very rare for me to give, but I've given quite a number of books 5-star ratings this month. I think overall since the start of 2020 I've given 3 5-star ratings, which I was not expecting. Overall, a 5-star rating is a book that I fundamentally love. It means I think it was probably one of the best books I have read, potentially ever. It made me feel things extremely well. It made me feel things strongly. I cried, I laughed, I felt deep, deep emotions because of the book. Also, if it just makes me contemplate things, I know, for example, The Host, it made me contemplate our society and our place in it as human beings and who we are and how we were towards each other. The 39 Steps made me laugh so much because I thought it was hilarious and I couldn't stop laughing at it. So it's things like that. If it gets me on an emotional level, either through happy emotions or sad emotions, or if it makes me think things, it takes me to that next level of, I am so, so glad that I read this book because I feel as though it has changed me in some way. That's my 5-star rating. So overall, as I've said, 2, 3, 4 are my general. 1 and 5 are very rare, so something will have to have been disastrous or phenomenal to get those ratings on my channel. So hopefully that has cleared things up and made it easier for you to understand. Just a quick short video because I felt as though it was quite important to get that across, because I've seen it done so many other times, and really I do genuinely appreciate when other people give me the indications of how they rate books, because maybe it makes me consider certain things as well, and hopefully my doing this will make you consider some things when it comes to you rating books. So thank you so much for watching. Please click the subscribe button and click the bell to make sure that you get notified. Other than that, I post every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, so thank you very much.